So you're talking. So we're talking about the technical argument, and you're saying that you're open to proof of stake systems, but since there's 20,000 coins, and a lot of them are probably just gambling mechanisms or don't have any real utility, but we can definitely confirm Bitcoin is fully decentralized, permissionless, and it definitely has that utility as a currency, which is
as a store of value.
As a store of value. And
For sure.
then you're making the technical argument for the use of Bitcoin.
Well, so exactly, there's a technical piece component, and I know some people disagree on this, but speculation is a use case. As you said, like some coins are for gambling or for speculating on price. I think if people want to make money based on speculation, then they're deriving value from that, right? That's the utilitarian, economist argument.
Cool.
The technical argument about Bitcoin versus proof of stake. You have this, I think it's called the security trilemma, right? Or
okay.
Security trifecta or something like that. You basically have three properties that a blockchain could have, and you can have two of them but not three. It's security, decentralization, and scalability. Now, Bitcoin is by far most decentralized, most secure, but scalability is very difficult. That's why Ethereum was invented, you have smart contracts, and you have all these other kind of technical innovations. There are now ways to scale.
H-bar.
Yeah, the H-bar. I mean, there's ways to scale up payments on Bitcoin. So like the innovations in the Lightning space have been phenomenal. There's all sorts of other really cool ways that you can scale up Bitcoin as a monetary technology.
Right.
Again, but it's not designed to be that way. Like that's Lightning. That's not
Right.
Bitcoin.
It's purposefully complex.
It's intentionally slow, right? It's intentionally slow, which also has its downsides. Recently, somebody was saying, but what you're telling me is that let's say down the line, we as a society decide, or we figure out that actually it could be better in X way, and we won't be able to change it, right? You can't really change Bitcoin. That's a downside, but it's also obviously a benefit because now it's kind of incorruptible. Now, other chains like Ethereum.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they never changed the Constitution to limit freedom of speech, but it surely seems nowadays they feel like they can limit freedom of speech, even though it's written in the Constitution. So even if you don't change Bitcoin, you could, they could make all kinds of restrictions to it otherwise. You know what I'm saying? So there's that problem as well.
Sure, but I think that's more like Bitcoin is just code and energy.
It's code.
We're talking about changing code versus changing. And actually, maybe the ordinals would be a nice, allegory, or the ordinals drive chain debate was like a nice allegory for the Constitution, right? It's like we have this document.
Ordinals are like the NFTs of Bitcoin.
There's a couple of cool innovations where you can write to the Bitcoin blockchain. You can have NFTs on Bitcoin. There's another sort of downside, depending on who you ask, about Bitcoin is that. The issuance is set. We will have 21 million Bitcoins, no more, no less. Over time, people worry that the transactions that can pay for Bitcoin miners hashing and securing the network won't be sufficient for security, right? It's like the security challenge or whatever it's called.
Okay, so there's around the challenges and people can watch all kinds of shows where people are talking about these same topics, and you're obviously an expert. And I really like the fact that I like the fact that you're open to other coins, because one guy told me not too long ago. He said, I said, I'm Crypto Monday, host of Crypto Mondays Global, and he said, I only do Bitcoin. I said, well, we're supporters of Bitcoin. We're the supporters. And he's like, Bitcoin's not crypto.
I actually think that's the biggest existential threat to Bitcoin. People imbue their own emotions into certain technologies. But imagine if in the early stages of the internet, they said, you're not a true internet user unless you only believe in this particular internet protocol, unless you only eat meat, and you are libertarian. People imbue their philosophies into this technology, even though Bitcoin is neutral. I have friends that are progressive, that are liberal. I have friends that are pro-Bitcoin plus pro-crypto. They're Bitcoin anti-crypto.
Right. But isn't that an interesting point in relation to the sustainability thing? Because you say, well, it's also people are going to say, well, Bitcoin is a technology that uses energy, and we want to reduce fossil fuels, and we want to reduce and use energy for other things. But so they're doing the same thing, just like people in a micro level do within the crypto industry.
Absolutely.
They're doing that with sustainability. And now you guys are saying, no, that's not it. You're saying more like an Al Gore argument where it's the situation's dire, we're all gonna die and take a look, pay attention, open your eyes, people. But there's hope. There's solutions, and then we can take these technologies and we can use technology to try and limit some of the damage and even overcome some of the major problems because we have science. And in the end, Bitcoin is science.
It's a technology.
It's a technology.
It would be like imagine,
mathematics.
It's energy and code, right? That's technically speaking, it's energy and code, right? As an energy technology, it's exactly what we said before. It's a data center, but instead of securing Amazon Web Services, it's securing this monetary network. And the way that it consumes energy is very unique. There's never been anything like this. The interruptibility, location agnosticity, and interruptibility, that is very unique to Bitcoin mining. There's a couple of other new technologies that have some of those properties, like AI computing, hydrogen to a certain extent, batteries. But the way that Bitcoin consumes energy creates an incredible opportunity to actually dramatically accelerate decarbonization of the energy sector and mitigate methane emissions and have all these other ancillary benefits as well. So for me, as somebody who comes from the energy space, right, I'm like, there's a lot of Bitcoin people working in energy. I am an energy climate guy. I'm a bleeding heart climate activist, whatever, working in Bitcoin.
Bleeding heart liberal?
Bleeding heart. I'm a bleeding. Yeah, I'm a bleeding heart. No, I listen. I own up to it.
Hey, that's cool. You're a climate guy.
Yeah.
And you have gone. You climate guy with a background in politics, background in energy sector. A player in that industry, an important guy. And wow, notice this. He's gone over into Bitcoin. He's gone crypto. Maybe you should wear the sunglasses for a minute, bro. But let's just shift focus a little bit onto your background and how you came to not just Bitcoin, but tell us how you got into climate change. And there's a lot of young people also in crypto and blockchain that watch my show and are interested in this. And you became passionate about this early on. Was it because of your politics, or because what you see, or because you grew up in some farm somewhere? Or tell us about your background, Elliot. But before you do that, let me just make sure we're going. Okay. Tell us about your background, Elliot.
Sure. So I'm born and bred New Yorker.
Okay, so you're not from a farm.
I'm not from a farm. I'm very much not from a farm. I lived in the Bronx until I was a little kid, then moved to Westchester, New York. So not really, not really farm country. But always really was passionate about the environment. I grew up watching Steve Irwin and Jane Goodall and David Attenborough, like really sort of leaders in the environmental space. Always passionate about nature. So I would say I've been an environmentalist my whole life. After high school, I spent some time in the military, came back, did school. Interestingly, I was originally studying astrophysics and cosmology.
At Hunter College.
At Hunter College.
All right.
So shout out Hunter College.
Shout out Hunter College and shout out Crypto Mondays New York City.
Woo!
And all of the Crypto Mondays around New York City. Yeah. We love you all.
And so originally I wanted to go to space. I wanted to be an astronaut or work at NASA. I was really interested.
That's how you got into Bitcoin.
So,
the moon.
To the moon. Yeah.
Come on, baby.
I'd love to see a Bitcoin moon. But and actually, mining Bitcoin on the moon could be interesting. But let's not digress.
That's a different conversation. You wanted to go to the moon.
I wanted to go to space. I mean, I also Carl Sagan. I really grew up reading Carl Sagan, and was always obsessed with space. I could still nerd out on space if anybody's ever interested.
Yeah, Elon Musk is watching the show right now. Man. He's gonna nerd out with you, dude.
Like jet propulsion systems and life support. Anyway, there's all sorts of really cool.
We can talk about shit. Yeah,
we can talk about shit for hours.
And another day.
Another interview. But the energy.
Yeah,
so what brought me to energy
sector exactly.
I was working in the environmental space, sort of early on, doing everything from nonprofit work, helping develop green parks, to waste management, kind of the broad spectrum. And then when Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico in 2017, I would say that's when my eyes were opened to the energy, not only the energy crisis in Puerto Rico, but the detrimental effects of energy poverty around the world. So in Puerto Rico, which is U.S. territory, just to bore you with a couple of statistics and facts.
We love Puerto Rico. Shout out to Pedro. Shout out to Brock Pierce. Shout out to all our peeps down in Puerto Rico.